Tiny Tina's Wonderlands is an explosive fantasy shooter by Gearbox. I've had a chance to play for quite some time now and have been absolutely loving it. Before you jump into the game yourself, these are some tips I want to give you to make your first time experience more enjoyable. Obviously this will be spoiler free, but I do have to note that I'm not allowed to show some footage after a particular point, so not all you're seeing will match what I'm saying, but hang in there, I'll be quick. These are the top 5 tips for those just starting Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. First, while fighting enemies, you'll notice or not notice traps that can and will bring you to your knees if not avoided. These come in the form of spiked traps, magical devices, and even barrels which will explode when a stray bullet inevitably clips them. There are also targets around you that you can shoot to set off traps manually. Do not think these traps are only there to wreck your day, as leading enemies into them can be extremely potent and a way to thin the horde or take out a high value target. Most traps either one-shotting enemies or temporarily stunning them. With stationary traps, simply angle the trap between you and the enemy and watch them run through it. For barrels, you can melee or slide into it to send it flying towards your enemies. During the middle of a fight, always keep an eye out for an easy way to take out enemies. Next, let's talk about damage types and status effects. Gearbox has been known to change exact damage numbers based on difficulty, but at normal, this is what we can expect. The first damage type is physical, which on normal deals a flat 100% damage to flesh, armor, shield, and bone. It doesn't have a secondary status effect though. Fire damage does an increased 125% damage to flesh, but a reduced 95% damage to armor, shield, and an even lower 80% to bone. So you definitely don't want to use fire against skeletal warriors, but against big fleshy creatures, it's the way to go. Fire has a secondary effect of igniting a target based on your status effect chance. Ignited enemies will take high damage over 5 seconds. Next is lightning damage. It deals a reduced 95% damage to flesh and bone and an even lower 80% to armor, but an incredibly high 175% increase to shield. Lightning damage is always a good backup to help zap away those pesky shields, but be sure to have something to help against armored ones. Lightning can cause the electrocuted status effect based on your status effect chance. It deals very high damage over 2 seconds, so slightly more efficient than being ignited as the damage is done very quickly. Frost damage deals a low 80% damage to flesh and a reduced 95% damage to shield, but does an increased 115% damage to bone. I assume this is because it makes it brittle. This is a change from how it was in Borderlands, so get it out of your head that Frost is good against armor. It's for bones. The cold kills boners. Frost damage slows enemies and can eventually freeze them based off frost efficiency. Frozen enemies are unable to move and take 3 times melee damage. So yes, the Berserker combos with itself. Next is poison damage. It deals reduced 95% damage to flesh and bone and a low 80% to shield, but a boosted 125% to armor. So poison and lightning weapons together will ensure you can take out most things easily. Poison damage also has the chance of poisoning enemies, dealing low damage over a long duration. So electrocution being the shortest, ignite being the middling, and poison being the longest, each having their own uses. Last is the new dark magic damage type, which deals a flat 90% damage to all targets. It's reduced because the status effect Leech steals health from enemies and gives it to you, making you quite a bit more survivable. The Graveborn specializes in dark magic and might be something to look at if this appeals to you. One feature of Borderlands 3 and now Wonderlands is the ability to ping. It's never mentioned in the game, but in co-op it's almost a necessary evil as you'll lose each other often thanks to the UI. On harder chaos levels, focusing one target will help you get through, as spreading damage out is very inefficient and will get you killed. Pings also have the effect of directing your pets. Your mushroom as the Spore Warden class, for example, will leap towards a pinged target. The overworld has a Metroidvania style of exploration, needing you to come back to areas after getting particular tools. For that reason, don't waste your time trying to get everything unless doing so is something you enjoy. You should play at your pace and enjoy what the game has to offer instead of feeling compelled to explore every inch. There'll be time for that when you're at the endgame, as by exploring at max level, you'll at least be farming for better gear and getting myth ranks as you do it. This translates over to other aspects of Wonderlands as well. Don't spend too much time overthinking builds and items, as the endgame is where the item drops matter and your build will change and can be changed once you have those powerful items. Feel free to swap out weapons and gear often while you're leveling up and experience all types, as damage numbers and stats won't give you a clear indication of how they'll perform. It's not mentioned as you make your character, but everything in the character builder can be changed except your primary class and your background. This is a decision you don't want to make lightly, as you'll need to start a new game in order to pick a new primary. For example, I picked the Spell Shot. I made my character, and a little into the game I had a choice of picking a secondary. I picked the Stabomancer. After finishing the game, I could change my secondary as well as my attributes and skills. I couldn't, however, change out of a Spell Shot. So I recommend researching what each of the classes do. You can do this by checking out my class video below or the Wonderlands website. You also won't be able to change your background. Your background gives you increased or decreased attributes. As of this video's recording, there is no way to change this background. You can add and remove attributes at the end game, but your maximum is still based off the background, so ideally you want to pick the background with the highest net gain of stats. That would be the Village Idiot, as you only lose 3 intelligence but gain 8 strength, which is a net gain of 5. Raised by the Elves is the worst, giving you only 2 dex for a loss of 4 constitution. Say you wanted a dex build, you can still pump points into it, and 2 won't be worth 4 less constitution, or sacrificing getting 8 strength by not picking Village Idiot, so don't choose that background. So there you have it, I told you I'd keep it brief. What do you think? Let me know down below. If you have any tips, I'd love to hear it in the comments. For everything Wonderlands, including an in-depth ultimate class guide, keep following /Dantix. Ciao friends.